Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about Secret 7 and our dip tubes. Now folks, Secret 7 was the first dip bait that we came out with. We released this bait in 2007 and it has been a tremendous product for us. Dip bait, some of the highlights about the product is, first, you don't ever have to keep it refrigerated. After this bait's opened, you can just keep it in your garage, your storage shed, you can keep it in your boat, but you do want to keep it dry. You don't want to let water get to it. And dip bait should never be, you don't have to put your hands in this. This is a very easy product to use. Now a lot of people like to use dip bait because it's been around the longest. Dip bait has a name, especially in the Midwest and upper Midwest, that has caught a lot of fish for a lot of years. We also offer sudden impact fiber bait, which is different than Secret 7 dip bait. Now one of the biggest things that is different between dip bait and fiber bait is you have to use a bait holder, some sort of a dip tube or a furry thing bait holder with dip bait. There's no fiber in this bait, there's nothing to hold it on your hook, so you have to use a dip bait holder to put in the dip bait to hold the dip bait on this tube. Now these are the Team Catfish dip tubes. We offer these in treble hooks and with J hooks, and we have black, red, white, and yellow, 4 really great colors. And we actually sell more of the J hook dip tubes than we do sell the treble hook dip tubes, because there's a lot of people that catfish that really like to release their catfish, and the J hook still hooks a lot of fish, but you can release them a lot easier than you can with a treble hook. Now what I'm going to do today is I'm going to show you how that we rig up using the dip tube plus the Secret 7 to go out and target your catfish. Now today I'm going to pick a yellow Team Catfish tube, and what we're going to do with this has got the old Cam Action True Turn hook in it, a 2/0 hook. What we're going to do with this is, the first thing we do is take it out of the package, and we've got a leader that goes down to our swivel, and we're going to take our dip tube and we're going to slide our line through our dip tube so it slides up and down your line. And then I'm going to tie my hook on, simply just any knot, polymer knot, clinch knot, any knot will work really good. You get a little bit wet, pull it down tight, cinch it up, and then you just take your dip tube and you push it back down over your hook. That's a really good choice, a really good size for using dip bait. Now what we always recommend people do with their dip bait, the Secret 7, now I've just got an old stick that I broke off from the trees over here, and Secret 7 needs to be stirred up. It kind of needs to be broke up and loosened up a little bit like this. It needs to get to where it's real sticky, and you can see how it's starting to kind of stick on that stick right there. You just can use any kind of a bait holder. One of the things that works really good is a bait holder like a paint paddle or a paint stick. Those work great. So we're just about ready now to put our dip tube in. And what we do is, you don't have to touch this with your hands, folks. You put your dip tube in, take your stick, and this isn't the Mona Lisa. This thing doesn't have to be painted up nice and pretty. These catfish don't care. They're just after the smell. And then you take and you look, that's your loaded Secret 7 dip bait right there. Now, one of the things I'd like to talk to you about, how easy that was to use. We constantly get asked why Secret 7 does not stay on your dip tube. Well folks, it's not designed to stay on the dip tube. It's designed to be cast out into the water. It hits the water, some of the bait breaks apart, and when the bait breaks apart, the current that's in the water, whether it's wind waves or river current, that starts moving the scent down into the area where you're trying to draw a catfish out of. So I want you to think about this for a second. So if your bait goes out into the water and it goes down and it sinks, some of it's breaking off while it's sinking, and then it goes down and it sets in the water till you either get a bite or you're ready to reel in. So when it's setting in the water it is starting to dissolve. And this is a cheese-based product. This cheese starts to get really soft as it sets in the water, and the warmer the water, the faster the cheese will start to dissolve. So when you reel that bait back into your boat or back to the bank, chances are there's not going to be hardly any Secret 7 left on your dip tube because it's set down there and it's got soft. And when you reeled it back in, that soft cheese broke off of the bait holder, off of the dip tube. I want you to remember that tip when you're out fishing and you throw it out and you reel it back in. There's not a lot of bait left on there. If there was, the product wouldn't be doing its job. We've designed Secret 7 to break off and create a scent explosion once it gets into the water, and I promise you there'll be enough bait left there on that dip tube to catch that fish, or until you get a bite. I'm Jeff. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned a little bit more about Secret 7 and how to rig up the dip tubes.